Welcome to New Mexico Black Rifle Operators Union. I'm your host, Sean. And what an interesting day in the news. It looks like the boycott with Bud is biting a little harder because they've released kind of like a "we're not political" statement, as well as a new commercial to try to spark the patriotism of their constituents or their customers, or at least that's what they think. Someone raised on a forum I saw, a good point. What if NASCAR, the CEO of NASCAR, isn't woke? What if he backed out of Budweiser, took Anheuser-Busch and told them to roll it in a cone? That'd be a big win for our side of the culture house. Colorado is facing our neighbors from New Mexico. You know, if you're from New Mexico, Colorado's 45 minutes away from me. So they're my neighbors. I have a lot of friends. Hey, Justin, Mark, I love you guys. They used to run a podcast called Not Another Guncast. Anyway, they're facing down the barrel of a gun ban, an assault weapons ban, just like New Mexico was. But theirs is more imminent because they're fighting it right now. And they have the same uphill battle that New Mexicans had. So if you have any friends in Colorado, or you're from Colorado and you're listening, call your senators, call your representatives, call your governor, get with the gun foundations, get ready to protest, because you got to keep Colorado tactical. We got to keep the whole United States tactical. If you have not noticed, Chicago was under riot for like 3 days. They're calling it a teen uprising. And their mayor actually came out and chided everyone for being pissed off about said riots. So thinking about that in that vein, and as I've been training a lot myself to get my physical body in better condition in case, something does happen, but mostly for me, and because I'm planning on going on a couple hunts this year if I get drawn, I've been wanting to get in better shape anyway, and, there's no time like the present. I have another friend who's listening to this podcast, my brew friend. He's done even better. He's an inspiration too. But it makes me think about that training aspect. Like, is your gun just a possession, or do you actually take it out to the range? Because I guarantee you leftists don't. And that gives us an edge only to a point, because, you take 1,000 to 1 and you're still behind the 8 ball. So you need to be better, and you need to be more coordinated, and you need to be geared. So that's where I was leading this to the podcast tonight, or today. If the ball dropped tomorrow, what would your loadout be? If you had to go fight around your home or your exfilling out, what would your loadout be? Do you have such a thing as a chest rig or armor plate carrier that has magazine capacity? Are you carrying capacity for your magazines? Because it's all fine and dandy to have the cool gun, but do you have anything to carry the ammunition that feeds it, or the cleaning kit? Bullets, beans, and Band-Aids. Logistics wins wars. There's no doubt about that. If you start training and you start thinking about this stuff, just think about it in terms of a little bit of a prep. This is buying a fire extinguisher. Do you have enough rounds to make it through your first iteration of a fight, if you had to fight? Do you have enough rounds to do that plus train? Again, I've been advocating for training for a long time. But as we get closer and closer to what looks like the collapse of society, if you're watching Chicago and you're watching, I think San Antonio even had some of these riots in Texas, there's been a breakdown in major metropolitan areas. Now, I live in MAGA country of New Mexico, and I'm just going to be honest. I don't see riots on any large scale happening here, because the organizations and institutions that have those tenants to try to start those things are not large enough in volume in this area for us to make a huge shift in life. If they did stuff, it would be very focused, very pointed, and probably squashed pretty quickly. But it doesn't mean that there wouldn't be some troubled times there. So what would you do? What would you carry? What sidearm would you carry? For me, it's a Glock 19. And I have the magazines to back that up for my sidearm if that was going to be my primary secondary. If I was going to exfil out, I'd probably take a 308. And why I would say that is because if I have to fell a larger animal, I want to be able to do it cleanly and concisely, so I'd probably take a G3. My G3, because I know it very well, I can support it. I have the parts in a small enough kit that I could carry with me. I have a cleaning, military-style cleaning clip, as well as a regular one that I have for it. Because I also hunt with this rifle. It's heavy, but I do hunt deer and elk with it, and I intend to this year too. But then, what else would you carry with you? So, on my person, I have three different options for what I carry. I have a plate carrier option, mostly because I wanted the real authentic thing so that when I actually trained to do, to get into this type of thing, so that I had the real idea of what would actually happen. If you wear a plate carrier, can you fit through a tube? I'm a big guy. I mean, my shoulders are like 56 inches from corner to corner, I believe. 56 or 58. So, with a plate carrier, that adds weight and dimension to me. I'm already a bigger guy, but I'm slimming down. I've done really well lately, and I continue to. I'm not bragging or saying anything. I'm encouraging you all to get into the fight and do this for yourself, do this for your health, and do this for the United States. Because they're going to need us if this ever goes sideways. Even if it's just helping to bag sandbags. That type of thing. You need the physical stamina if you're going to have to do this stuff. And that's what I'm working towards. But on my plate carrier, I carry 9 mags on any one of them. Now, it's a weird number, but each one of my mag carriers has 3 mag. It's a 3-pouch mag. Now, I have 2 different ones if I'm going to do Ricky Recon and I'm going to be sly and on the move, like on a hunt. I have a chest rig that is made by Wavern. They're British in design, and it was used by the British SAS for a long time. This is one of those things where airsoft actually translated very well. If you really got serious into airsoft like I did, I had different impressions of what I would wear and what I would use, and because I played, I LARPed as Force Recon and I LARPed as British SAS, so I have different types of camouflage and different types of kit that go along with this. But in doing so, I found some very cheap alternatives if you want just a chest rig that's patterned off of this. Condor makes one, and so does NC Star or VSM or whatever. And they're okay for AK. You can get 3 AK mags in them, or you can get 3 Stanag mags, which are AR-15 mags. You can get 2 308 mags in each one. Usually how they're arranged is there's 3 pouches up front. There's a giant map pouch in the center of it. And there are 2 decent size where you can fit a compacted MRE when you take out of the package and repackage it in there. You can fit it in that on one side. On the other side, I usually carry 2 water bottles with that chest rig. And then I have a place for my radio, as well as inside the map pouch, I usually put my map, of course, but I also put my personal devices that I need, for, like GPS units, things like that while you're hiking or doing stuff like that. Sunscreen. I used to carry my flags so that I would, my dead rag, so I'd show I was dead when I was getting off the field. But it gave me a very good idea of what would work for my body type and the type of mission or how I move. That's a better way to put it. When you start learning to do some of these training things you get with some of these military guys, they start teaching you how to move in force. That helps. But it also teaches you, like, if you hunt, like if I carried this, I could carry 9 AR magazines, 9 AK magazines, like this routinely. And I did it during training sessions, but I also did it during hikes. When I would go hunting with my dad, I was one of those weirdos that always carried survival gear. So in addition to that, I usually have a cleaning kit on those 2 bigger pouches on the side of the Wyvern. There's kind of where we call it a last mag pouch, which I usually carried 1 last mag. So there was 10 mags on there. But on the other side, there was a cleaning kit for my weapon, and a small survival kit that had anything I needed, like a saw. I had on my belt, I have my ouch pouch, as well as my pistol mags, a couple AR mags. All this stuff seems heavy until you actually use it. And then my mag pouch, or my plate carrier, actually has those plus the same type of mag carriers, but it also has pistol mag carriers, 2 of them on it, and I carry 1 liter or 2 liters of water in a CamelBak on my back. Now I would do that with that other chest rig also. That allowed me to hike and hunt for a whole day. While I was out there hunting, I could carry whatever I wanted. I could carry my lunch, I carried enough water, and I could actually be out there pretty comfortably for my first 2 what are called drives in my hunting style. I hunt kind of in weird ways where you usually put someone in a set location and drive animals to them, or I still hunt, where I actually chase animals or stalk them through their trails and everything else. In doing so, you learn very rapidly what works for you. You get out in the field, one of the things you find out is that bug repellent kind of works and is kind of cool. It's also it smells. And scent is something you have to be concerned with when you're hunting, but you have to be concerned with if you were trying to evade or engage people. How you move, how you walk, this matters. Sound is amplified in certain situations, especially in the cold, especially when there's wind. So you need to be very careful what you produce, What else needs to go with that is, can you support what you have? It's all fine and dandy to have all this, and then you think you're going to throw on this huge J-pack on addition to your body armor, and you think you're going to walk 21 miles. Have you ever done that? Because I can tell you, walking a mile with all that crap is hell. Walking 21 miles can be done. Our special forces dudes do it, but you're not special forces. So that's where that Ricky Recon setup comes into play for me. And plus, you also have to manage the fact that you're carrying a weapon. Okay? Now, everyone talks about a bug out bag. What's in your bug out bag? Is it actually ready? And could you drop, if you had to leave right now, do you have what you need to take off? To just disappear if you had to, or just to leave your house? And I say that not just for these pie in the sky ideas if we think that we would have these riots and we'd have to go fight, or that we end up in the next civil war or anything like that. I say that because fires and floods happen. That's where the 72-hour bag usually came into play, is can you leave your house for 72 hours if there was a wildfire? And where I live, wildfires are pretty natural. I mean, they happen all the time. We have some of the best wildland firefighters in the world, I believe, in New Mexico. But it makes me think about this stuff because as I watched, these idiots riot in their giant town for 3 days, and multiple videos of this coming out where they're looting and burning cars in the street and stuff like that. It makes me think that those larger cities, I'm okay with letting them go down. They voted for that crap. That's what they keep wanting. Let them do what they want. Eventually, they'll turn around and change their mind. And what really is hilarious about this, from my perspective, and this is my opinion, is that none of those people that are in those areas can defend themselves. Because if you look at where the rioting was happening, it was happening in Chicago. It's illegal to conceal carry. It's illegal to have a gun in a lot of places. And yet they still rioted, pillaged. I don't know of any fatalities, but that's still a lot of damage and a lot of destruction. And I can imagine it just boiling up into something that is pure violence. Because there is a cult that believes they're right. There is no convincing these people until you break them out of the cult. And until we figure that part of the puzzle out, we need to plan accordingly. Like, share, subscribe, be great.